Yo, what's good, everybody? Today we're going to clear T15 maps using only 9 Exalts. Each piece of gear only costs 1 Exalt. I'll walk you through the build and how to play it. Let's go! Okay, this is a warrior build using the artillery ballista totem. It's one of the best builds in the game. It has tons of survivability and it does a lot of AoE. You right click, put down the artillery ballista, run around, and they're going to nuke the screen for you. It's that simple. Yeah, you can start playing this build around level 31 or 32. And I've played it all the way through to level 90. I've beat a few pinnacle bosses, and it's really powerful. As you can see, when you get hit, look at my life regen. That's just crazy. Okay, how the build works. Basically, for our attack, we put down artillery ballistas. There's a max limit. Currently, it's at 3. Let them do all the work. You just kind of stand back. Oil grenades, you can throw those at rare or unique enemies like bosses. That'll help lower the res, which in turn increases the artillery ballista's damage. So in order to get more damage on your artillery ballista, you can stack things like attack speed, but what's really going to make the difference is going to be levels. So currently we're at a +6 to levels. You can get levels on your crossbow and on your amulet. So those will be key pieces of gear to get. Okay, let's go into the skills. So artillery ballista, we're going to have martial tempo, primal armament, and acceleration. They can cost a lot. The higher level, the more mana it's going to cost. If you need to, you can swap out inspiration for acceleration. Try to avoid it if you can, because it really does reduce the damage. Another is overabundance. If you have like a 5th slot or 4th slot, you can put down 4 with overabundance, which obviously increases the damage. For oil grenade, we have strip away, persistence, and magnified effect. Next, for one of our buffs, it's time of need. Basically, every 10 seconds, we recover a certain amount of life, and it removes curses and elemental ailments. On that, we have vitality and clarity for increased life recovery and mana recovery. Then we have a companion we get from Tame Beast with meat shield and an elemental army. I don't currently have it, but something like periodic invulnerability aura or hasted aura are really good to have on it. A good spot to tame your beast, if you're looking for one, is go to Infested Barrens. Search Infested Barrens until you find the Troubled Camp. Sebastian Caraway will be there. Get the checkpoint. Once you have the checkpoint, there's going to be 2 monsters that you can tame, and they're going to each have different auras. So powerful minions, extra crit. Now, none of these are good. They're not what we want. Respawn at checkpoint. Every time you respawn, they're going to be still in the same spot, but they're going to have different auras. Okay, nope, not what we want. So you can basically rinse and repeat until you find the ones that you want to tame, and then boom, catch them like a Pokemon. We're good to go. Just don't kill either of them until you're ready to tame them, because if you do, they won't respawn, and then you'll have to come back and reset the instance. Passive skills, we're going with Smith of Kitava. So Smith of Kitava, and it's currently set up as though I'm level 80. In the description, there's going to be a link to a max roll guide. That guide will have the passive skill tree laid out. So I'm not going to go over each one individually. If you go into the passive skill tree in the max roll guide, there's going to be a drop down at the top. That drop down, you'll be able to select levels 60, 65, 70, 75, and 80. So that way you can follow along as you level up. This was a great build for the campaign. In the beginning, I just used this Forge Maul until I got to level 31 or 32 when I was able to switch to Artillery Ballista. All I did was quality this up. I put 2 sockets in it to increase the physical damage, and I just slammed my way through until I was able to ascend and get there. One key passive I want to point out is going to be Leather Bindings. Regenerate 5% max life per second. When I was on stream, I went to the bathroom during the campaign, and I came back. There was like 3 enemies surrounding me, and they couldn't kill me. They just kept hitting, but I was regenerating life faster than they were doing damage. So it made going through the campaign a breeze. Another thing I want to point out with the Smith of Kitava is we take Coal Stoker, which means the more fire res we have, Cold and Lightning gets 50% of the value. So for example, you have 100 fire res, Cold and Lightning would get a 50 bonus. So that's the reason why we take Body Armor grants 75% to fire res. Also, what's unique about this setup is Smith's Masterwork, we can only use normal body armor. So this is actually white body armor. That's all you can use with this, but you get some great modifiers. Increased life, increased strength, which increases life, and regen 5% of max life. Gear talk, gear segment. Let's go. Now let's review the gear. So we're going to use a crossbow. The two most important stats are level to projectile skills, get as high as you possibly can, and increase elemental damage with attacks. So first priority, projectile skills. Second, increase elemental damage with attack. I'll show you what to search for. We'll go to the POE trade website. I'm going to put a link in the description so you can get to it. Make sure you're on POE Dawn of the Hunt. So item category, crossbow. Remember, everything is 1 Exalt. So buyout price, 1 Exalt. Add a stat filter. Remember, requirements, whatever level you are, you don't want to buy something that's level 80 if you're level 60, or you don't have enough dex or strength. So check your stats, make sure you can do it. Go to add stat filter. I'll type in projectile skills, and then we'll type in elemental damage with attacks. You always want to start off strict, so let's just go 6, see if there's any. There's none. Now we'll go 5. 2 results found. So not bad. Keep checking in on it periodically because this is always updating by the second. So if you don't find it now, buy other pieces of gear, come back and buy it later. I'd say, you know, if you're a level 60 or so, you want at least +5 to projectiles. Your artillery ballista is not going to scale off anything on your weapon but projectile skills and elemental damage with attacks. So that 8 to 14 fire damage or lightning damage does not matter. The 2 sockets that are in there, the 26 to 32 fire damage, that's how I bought it. So when you can't afford it, throw in a couple soul cores of Citiquiltal, however you say it. That gives you 30% increased elemental damage with attacks. Looks like right now it's about 1.1 to 5.8 or about 1 to 6. So that's for later, but that'll help you scale your damage. Okay, next we got the amulet. You want bare minimum 1 to all projectile skills. If you can get 2, great, but most likely for 1 Exalt, you'll have to get 1. Additional stats you can get on there is either life is always great, mana is good, any resistances that you need, of course, strength and dex as well. So make sure priority number 1, levels to projectile skills. So let's start off. This is the last time I'll show you how to search for it on the trade website, since you should know after that. Item category, amulet, exalted orb, max 1. Add stat filter, we'll type in projectile skills. Let's type in 2 and just see if anything's out there. Only 2 results posted 2 minutes ago. So the rest of the stats, screw it. I would just direct message them and try and get one of those. If you can't, you'll search 1 to projectile skills. There's 1,400 matches. So then you can get a little more detailed on what you need. But if you could get 2, that would be fantastic. Okay, next I have 2 amethyst rings, both with chaos res on it. The reason for that being, it was kind of hard to max chaos res. So those are always a good start. They both have other resistance on it too. Next, we got a helmet. It just has resistance, life, mana, and dex. Dex or strength is really good. You're going to need both. Then we have, for the fine belt, what I love about this one is the implicit of flask gain 0.17 charges per second. Sometimes in a boss fight, you could run low on mana, so it's good to have your flask that has regen. It also has chaos res, strength, life, mana, same as the other items. And for our gloves, similar thing, life, mana. Mana on enemy killed is really good, and mana leech. For the boots, we want as high of movement speed as possible. This has 30%. The warrior actually has a -5 bonus for movement speed for the armor. So 30% is more like 25. So I would really try and aim for 30 if you can, but if you need to, 25 would be fine. Next is your body armor, right? So if you can get the ornate plate, that'd be great. It has an implicit of generate life per second, and then the stats that you add in the Smith of Kitava setup. For this one, I was lucky to corrupt and get a triple socket. You could add increased armor, does help a bit. You could also add in the sockets any resistances that you need, of course. So I'd say the Ornate Plate is the way to go. When it comes to your flasks, for mana, you want charges per second, increased amount recovered. Main one, charges per second. Life flask you don't use as much, but charges per second is always good. And then I use a stun charm. You could also do freeze, but for me, I like stun because you don't get frozen as often. Okay, to summarize, this is the order of importance on your gear. Projectile skills. That's levels to projectile skills. Enough dex so you can wear your gear, and enough dex to be able to use artillery ballista. It does require dex and strength. Next, we have resistance cap. You want all your elemental and your chaos capped at 75. Then health and mana. It should probably go mana and health because your artillery ballista costs, look, 177 mana. It goes up per level. So you need a high mana pool, and health is always great for survivability. Mana and health, they're about equal. So if you got health on the gloves, get mana on the boots, vice versa. Strength gives you extra life. Some other things could be mana on kill, life on kill, mana regen, stuff like that. Those are always additional, but the main categories will be these 5.